I'll show you how to extract the Blender VSE markers and actually create your own short clips or longer clips based on the markers. Before we begin, I want a quick reminder that every day I host a live stream. You visit ojambo.com, you go to the watch menu, live sub menu, you can see the topic for today's story is called Extracting Blender VSE Markers Using Python. The channel it's going to be on and the day and time of the live stream. And these are topics for future live streams. Each of those articles will have a snippet at the top of each article. It will tell you the exact day of the live stream and time. It's always going to be Eastern time. You're free to ask questions about any programming or lifestyle topics. And the live stream will be on this channel. So you click on this channel here, then you can log in and you can post your chat requests. Also, be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. Subscribing actually does help a lot because I know you guys like the content I'm making, and I can produce that one. If you don't like that content, just let me know. I can do something else or tweak it to your liking. Okay, with that out of the way, so Blender has a video sequence editor that's a VSE, and you can put markers in it in the VSE sequence editor, and then you can export those markers using Python. We're going to be using the Blender Python API to do this. So basically what we're going to do is going to extract all the timeline markers, and then those timeline markers will be defined inside the Blender, and then what we'll do is we can give them a name, and then we can use that name for something else. For example, in this particular case, I'm just going to automatically create new files from the beginning of the timeline to the end of the timeline. So why use markers? They're a convenient way to label or segment parts of a timeline. They serve as visual markers for key events, cuts, or chapters. Also, for example, what you could do is you could export each of those markers. For example, you could have intro, chapter 1, chapter 2, and outro. And then those markers, you could be obviously convert them into timelines. So that way it's chapters, meaning that, for example, like in YouTube, if you actually put that in the description, those could be your chapter headings. And of course, so you're going to need, for this, you're going to need a Blender 2.8 and above. I believe 2.80 is actually it's no longer supported. So if you get one of the 4 series, I think there's one in the 3 series that's still supported until the end of this year, 2025 time of this recording. So it will work. Okay, so you can use the Blender scripting interface. I prefer just to run this on the command line. But yeah, you can run this in the scripting interface, but the command line is easy because that's usually how I render things. Because when you render in Blender, if you do render on the command line, it's actually faster because it doesn't have to have the UI, the GUI running in the background using your GPU or your computer resources. Those can all be used on the command line to speed up the process. So the script is right here. You can click expand and you can see the Python script. So the way the script works is it will sort the markers. It will grab all of them and sort them obviously from the beginning of the length of your timeline. And then it will, for this particular script, it will make them ranges. And that's how to segment the rendering. And it can also restore the original render script path and format if you prefer to do it that way. Okay, so very, very important that you make sure the markers are named consistently. For example, scene 1, scene 2, etc. You always make sure you always indicate at least 2 markers to define a segment. And for the final section, you can add an extra marker at the end to capture the segment properly. So as you can see here, I have this video, which was the Learning JavaScript course on ojamboshop.com. And if you see down here, I don't know if I'll show you in Blender. I don't think I can. Let me try to zoom in here. Should be able to see this. Yeah, this screenshot. Yeah, right here. See, it says intro, description, account, course, sample, output, and outro. So that's what I did, and then those are the timelines here. And I'll show you how to do that in Blender. And here's the script, screenshot of the script. Let me actually zoom back out. And you see this is how you run on a command line, just Blender space -b, and then the name of the blend file, hyphen capital P. That then you put in the Python script name, and then you just run it on the command line. And this is the video. This is a live video, so if you guys are, you can watch the video on the channel, or you can simply go to watch the embedded video. So if I click this, yeah, you can see it's live. It's actually literally what I'm doing right now live. It's a live stream. Okay, so with that said, of course, there's so many things you can use the markers for. I gave an example for chapters. You can include maybe you can replace the audio for those timelines. Maybe you want to put, maybe you can add something, maybe like a background music, about another clip. Maybe like, for example, you want to say, please subscribe, or something like that, or, you know, like, comment, you know, you can add, or even other videos. You can do that as well. You can export still images. There's so much you can do. So very, very, I'm saying this is just the basics to get you guys started. So if you want to become a little bit better at scripting with Blender, I do have a book called Mastering Blender Python API. You can actually, it's available on Amazon. If you get this book, you'll be able to build your own custom add-ons for Blender. You can automate complex tasks such as 3D modeling, automation, rendering, and the VSE. Yes, I do have a few, 3 chapters on the VSE. And you can understand the Blender's data structures, the event loop. You can create tools to integrate directly into Blender's interface. A little while ago, somebody asked me why I don't create an add-on that can do some of these things. Well, I eventually will create an add-on and actually put it on GitHub as well, so that you guys can contribute to it. So what I would like to do is, because I use Blender for my video editing, once I get everything the way I want it to, I will create that add-on, and I'll show you how you guys can contribute and how to actually set it up yourself. So it doesn't have to be on GitHub. It can be another one like GitLab, but I think GitHub is probably the most popular, so I'll put it there. And okay, so with that said, I said you can get this book, Mastering Blender Python API. It's available on Amazon. You search for Edward Jumbo, you just click the link here, and the link should also be in the description of this video. Okay, with that said, let's get started. So I'll show you what I have here. I do have a folder. I just called it markers. So you can see here, it took account, this video is called Learning JavaScript. You see what it did is it took the markers, and then it chopped them up, basically one marker to another marker. And so I'm going to delete this because I don't need this one's here. The only one I want is this one here, and obviously the blend file. So we can delete those code snippets. And then I have this VSE markers.python file. You can get this code snippet from the article. The links are also in the description. So let's take a look at the code here first. I did a copy. I did this beforehand, this because I don't want to make any mistakes, and because if I make even a small mistake, then the live stream takes longer. So I want this live streams to go a little bit faster. So maybe I can also add more content if they're faster. So what we do is we import the Blender Python PPY, and we also import the OS. The reason I want to import the OS, it's not necessary, but the reason I want to import the OS is so that, because we're going to start working with Python, is that I want to use some operating system methods. So the one I want to use is I want to get the current path of where the Python file is, because everything will be relative to where a Python file is. So, so what I do is I create a variable to hold the output folder. So you can see here it's that Python, Blender Python module, the path and the absolute path. So when you put // means it's relative to where the Blender is or Python is. So that's what that is. And then of course I make the folder. If it doesn't exist, the folder will be created, but it will exist. And then the markers. So remember, the Blender file is going to exist. So I'll grab the markers, then I'll sort them, use lambda, basically from the frames, starting frame to the end frame. Then what I do, I get the screen, the context scene, and I set the render to that scene, and then the original path, which will be the render file path, and the file format, I set it to the file format in the blend file. So in this particular case, I'm not making this all from scratch. It's going to all come from the existing Blender file. I'll show you the Blender file soon. Then after that, we want to set our format. So the format will be FFmpeg, the file format, and we're going to pick the encoding to be MP4 or MPEG-4. The reason I'm doing this is because I could also take it from the original blend file, but if I'm just taking snippets, I'm able to change the render information. Because remember, in this particular case, I'm not rendering the entire file. I'm only rendering parts of the original blend file. So this one here, I just loop through all the markers. So this code should be very familiar to you guys. This was from the Learning Python course. There's also a book on Amazon, Learning Python by me, Eduardo Jambo. Okay, and then you get the start marker. So obviously that's the first one. And then the end marker will be the next marker. So then what we do is we set the scene to start at the first frame, and the end frame will be the end marker. So that's it. And we put -1. If you remember, in computing, the numbers usually start at 0. So you have to be careful when I'll show this also when we go to Blender. So on Blender, visually, for us humans, we start at 1. But so if you want 60 frames, it's actually 1 to 59. Yeah, I know it's a little bit weird. You'd think it's 1 to 60. If 1 to 60 will actually be 61 frames. Yeah, so that's why. So we use the F string here. This allows us to use variables inside. So we just give it a name. So the name will just be the marker names. And then that will be the MP4. And then the render path will be obviously relative, as I said, to where the Python file or the blend file is. And then we just print this to tell it that it has finished. And then we render it. You see, we use animation, not image. And then we we'll restore the original render settings so we can start again. And the image format is well. And once that's done, we say all the segments, because remember, this is inside a for loop. So the for loop will end here, and then we just set everything to the default, and we're done. So that's the Python file. Now, I'm going to minimize that. Actually, now I'm going to open up the blend file. We don't actually need this one here. So I'm going to open up the blend file. Okay, so this is the blend file. So you see it opened up in the VSE. That's what we want. And you see this is the Learning JavaScript course video. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I just muted that because that's not important. The most important thing is down here. You see it says intro. So this is how you add your you add your markers. So to add a marker, you go to marker. You see marker here. You click on that, and you can see you can add or remove a marker. You see here it says add marker. You can sync markers. You can duplicate a marker. You can delete one. So I'm going to delete this one here. This one right here. You see I'm going to delete it. So you can it's already highlighted. You can just press delete and it's gone. So there's no marker there. So simply go the way the timeline is. You see it says 1, but actually here it's 0, 0. It's actually timeline 1. So you go to marker, add marker, and you see by default it says F_01 because that's the timeline, but that's not a very good name. So I'll just double click on it, and then I'll just change it to intro. Oh, intro, yeah, intro. And you see that's the one there. So if we go to this one here, for example, somewhere here, if I add another marker, add marker, you see it says F_415. That's because I'm on frame 415. So if I don't want that, I say you just you see you just click on it there, and you can delete it. If that doesn't work, you just go to marker and you go delete marker, which is the X. Oops, there's a pop-up where it's delete marker, and hit delete, and you see that's gone now. Okay, so there's another marker here, description, there's an account, there's course, and then there's sample, output. You see they're very descriptive. You can make them as descriptive as you want. So this could be your chapter headings, as I've said before. So with that out of the way, and you can see this video is 400 and starts at 1 and goes 4,836 frames, which is right here. It's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So if you remember, if we look at this script, I'll click on this script. You see here, it starts at 1 and goes to 48. The duration is 4835. So the total, then the end frame is actually 4836. That's why it's 4836. That's what I was trying to say. If you want actually 60 frames, you start at 1, you go to 59. That's 60. That's because the start is not 0. That's the reason. As I was saying, you see the start is 1, not 0. If it was 0, then it would be perfect, but it's not. And that doesn't make sense for us humans. We actually need to start at 1. Okay, so with that out of the way, it's that simple. You can take any video. You could also, it doesn't have to be a video. It could be a bunch of images. You can stretch them out, and that's how you have your timeline markers. One thing I wish is if I would be able to set the markers in OBS. For example, when I'm doing a live stream, I could set them that way, and then they'll be able to be imported here. I might be able to do that in the future. What I might do is maybe I'll make another plugin for OBS where I set the markers, and then I could probably use Python or a batch script to export those markers. And then when I put the video here, I could maybe then have Python also add those markers automatically. I might do that as well. That would be a nice little plugin for Blender. And it could probably be used for other scripting other ways. Okay, so with that out of the way, I could technically, if I wanted, I actually see this is another reason I want to put make a Blender add-on. So if I made a Blender add-on, I don't know where I would put it, but maybe I could click somewhere and then it would start rendering, and then you see the timeline going, and then it would be doing what I want. But as I said, it's easier just do it in Python. So I'm going to close this. I'm not going to save because it was already saved, but make sure you do save it. And pay attention to the name. You see the name is VSE underscore markers and dot blend. So I'm not going to save this because it's right there. So what I do is jump to the command line. So I'm going to jump to the command line here. Okay, I'm going to put this here so you guys can see what's going on. I'll make this much bigger and taller so you'll see exactly what goes on here. Okay, there we go. Make it as tall as possible. Okay, there we go. So in order to run this, it's very simple. All you do now is very simply Blender. So type Blender. Let me make this bigger. Oh, it's as big as it can be. Okay, so Blender -B to run it in the background. If you don't do that, it's going to open up a Blender window and run it. So it kind of useless to run the command line. Might as well just run it in the GUI. So, and then the blend file is VSE underscore markers dot blend, and then I want to run Python. So -P. By the way, the -B is lowercase, just in case you're joining us from the podcast version of this tutorial. So, and then my blend file, which is VSE markers.py. So there we go. Now I press enter. If there are no mistakes, it should be fine. You can see the version I'm running of Blender is 4.43. You can see I'm running Blender 4.43, and as you can see, it's reading the Blender file, so that went fine, and it's rendering. You see the first one, the first render, it's intro to description. This one here, intro to description. Remember, our first marker was intro, the second marker was description. So that's what that is, and it's an MP4. So you see, it starts at frame 1 to frame 797. So it's already doing the second one here. So we have to go down here. Yeah, 797 somewhere here. Yeah, you see it finished that one at 797. Then it took the description and then it went to the third timeline, which was account, which is this one here, and you can see that's from 798 to 1579. So that's this one here, account, and then account to course, and then course to sample, and I believe that should be the last one, unless it's still rendering. Oh yeah, it's still rendering. There might be another one, I think, the one to the end. Yeah, so sample, yeah, sample to output. I think this was 4,000 frames, something like 4,000. So there should probably be another one after. I think it's output to. There might be another one before the end. I can't remember. Oh yeah, there was. So there was output to outro. Oh yeah, outro was the last one. So then, so I could probably tweak the Python one so that it takes the outro to the end. So I would recommend obviously putting one at the beginning and one at the end so that it can it will do. So my outro one, I didn't. I remember I did this deliberately because the outro might change. So you might want to put an outro, separate outro to each of this one. So that's why I did that. Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah, so there we go. So output to outro is the last one. There's no outro to the end because that's obviously the outro, and you can change your outros. Okay, so with that out of the way, as you can see, so basically it took this video, learning JavaScript. So this video was made last year in 2024. And it basically split up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It split up into 6 videos based on where I put the markers. So for example, this one here, if we look at this one, and you see it clipped off right at where it says account to course. So that if we click this one, it will continue the next one. Yeah, there we go. So you guys get the point. So it's you can use Python to edit your videos very, very quickly. So this way, for example, like yesterday, I did a live stream that was over 1 hour. So if I wanted to chop those up, I could have simply done something like this, where I could split it at specific areas. And for example, one could be one chapter, and I could upload those you could also use Python to put a specific outro and even an intro to those to each of those. So maybe I said that'll probably be for a future tutorial, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So that way, this is actually very, very, as you saw, very, very nice. Instead of like editing an hour-long video, you can split it up chop it up, and you can have multiple videos there and just upload one by one. So that's basically it. Yeah. So as I said, I didn't want this tutorial to take as long as yesterday, and so that's it. See how simple that is. So Blender is pretty versatile. Especially the VSE. That's why I do these tutorials. I do use Blender for all my editing, and I'll show you guys in the future tutorials just using Python, so scripting. So that's a nice little way to do this. And another good thing is if you actually have shorter videos. For example, let's say the power went out. You could just start off at the next one and continue, and then you can maybe concatenate them if you really need to do that. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's finish this tutorial up. Let's do a quick reminder that every day I host a live stream. You visit ojambo.com, you go to the watch menu, live sub menu, you can see this is today's topic, extracting Blender VSE markers using Python, the channel it's on, and the day and time for the live stream. And these are topics for future live streams. Also be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for all you have subscribed so far. And I'm also going to plug my book here. It's called Mastering Blender Python API because it's relevant to this tutorial today. You can unlock the potential of Blender through scripting and custom workflows. In the book, you learn how to build your own custom add-ons for Blender using Python. You can automate complex tasks across 3D modeling, animation, rendering, and VSE. I just gave you a very quick snippet today for the VSE. That's a video sequence editor. You'll be able to understand the Blender's data structure and event loop. You can create tools to integrate directly into Blender's interface. What I mean by that is you could have, for example, in Python, you can maybe use JSON, and you can have JSON files, and then from the JSON files you can get Blender to draw your 3D models, put them in the VSE or compositing. Even you can also do the grease pencil. You can all do that after you learn the Blender Python API by the book. There's a lot of examples. Every single chapter has lots of examples, at least 2 to 3 examples in the Mastering Blender Python API. So where do you get this book? I have the link here. It's also in the description. It's on Amazon. You can also do a search for Eduardo Jambo. And you see this is the book here. And it's available in paperback, but it's also available in the Kindle. And if you have a Kindle, it's actually free for a limited time. So take advantage of that and get it. It's free if you have Kindle. And if you have a Kindle, I said it's free, or you can buy it for the amount depending on what location you're in. Okay, and you see it's over 100 pages. I believe it's 104 or 110. I couldn't remember. So there are no swear words. It's pretty good for all ages. The reason I chose 13 to 18 years old is because I know like people who are less than 13 are not allowed to purchase things online, so that's why I chose this. But yeah, it's available for everybody. There's no swear words. I said everything's just Blender, just like my tutorials. I don't swear. I just be normal human being. Okay, with that out of the way, I think we can conclude with this. If you have any questions or want to share your own scripts and workflows, feel free to leave a comment below. I said I will set up I'll set up a GitHub repository for the Blender Python scripts so you guys can get them there. The only reason I haven't done that so far is because the GitHub repository embed wasn't very good. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I would have done it by now. But I said I'll look into it, and definitely it will be done soon. Okay, so I don't see any chat requests, so I'm going to end this stream now. And thanks again. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day.